Hey, happy Tuesday, everybody. Hope you're having a fantastic day. I'm just going to pull up the feed on my phone so that I can watch along. Let's check if I'm in focus. Looking all right. Okay, so how's everybody doing? Today is Tuesday, and it's an awesome day. What's up, Michael? What's up, Nate? Thanks for hopping on. Nate, I'm excited for my session with Tiff this evening. It's going to be awesome. Today has been a day I'm getting ready to do kind of an update to friendlygiantfilms.com. So I've been going through like the terms and conditions pages and all of the boring legalese stuff, and like putting Friendly Giant Films name in all of the spots that it needs to go into. And then I watched some training from Dean Graziosi, did some reading, got on with my power group, and then talked with Janine. Now I'm doing this. It's been a fun day. So why does this thing keep popping up? Anyway, sorry, a little thing popped up on my screen. What's up, Tiff? Thanks for watching with Nate. So today I wanted to talk about, as you can see from the title, I get asked this question at times, and as I've been thinking about my own personal journey, I figure this is a good time to talk about the theory of story evolution. Nick, I've already worked on my stories before. Do I really need to revisit them? You know, that kind of thing. Do they ever change? Does my story change? Does the narrative change? All that kind of stuff. And that is what we're going to go into today. So, with that said, let's get started. What's up? I don't know how or why that thing popped up on the screen when it did. So that was weird, but it works, right? So today we are talking about the evolution, the theory of story evolution. That's what I'm going to call it. You know, like Darwin had the theory of evolution. I'm going to call it the theory of story evolution. And we're going to talk about it today, okay? So how many of y'all hold on, something's popping up on my screen. I need to close, minimize. Okay, that's out and it won't distract me and make weird noises. So how many of you, by show of hands, out of curiosity, so I want you to hashtag me if this is you, how many of you have spent some time working on your stories for your business, for your brand? How many of you have done that already? Raise your hand, hashtag me, and then throw me some hearts and likes, okay? It's just Michael, Nate, and Tiff right now on the live. So I know that Nate and Tiffany have. Michael, I'm sure you have. We've talked about your wife's story a little bit. And when she's ready to really take a fun leap into it, I'm so excited to work with her. So for those of you who have worked on your story, has it been a one-time exercise? Has it been ongoing? Did you spend a lot of time working with somebody or working through it and writing things out, and you're kind of feel like you have a hold on it? I'd love to hear where you are in that journey, because I'm going to scoop my chair over and get a little bit better framing here. But because every single person needs to be spending some time to do it. You need to be investing time into your stories, into your brand messaging, right? I know that's hard with a lot of startup solopreneurs in the startup phase, bootstrapping everything, where you're doing your accounting and your marketing and your ads and your social media engagement and your client work and your scheduling and your deliverables and all this stuff. I know that it takes a lot of time, right? But you need to be investing time. And if you're unable to invest time into your brand and your story, then you're gonna have a hard time being successful in your business and growing it. To be honest, it's just one of those things. If you can't prioritize and put your story and your brand stuff towards the top, especially as you're getting started, you're going to have a longer, harder road to go down because you're setting yourself behind by not addressing it. If you've been going for a while, maybe you've worked on some stories and you've put them into your copy in your website or your funnel or those kinds of things, but they've just been there for a year or two or a couple of years, right? It's time to invest some time into revisiting that. So let's see. Saw my funnel hacker story today. Great one. Oh, is that my funnel hacking live story you're talking about, Val? Thanks for hopping on, by the way. So here is the thing. You know, I have been immersed in stories my whole entire life, right? There are tried and true stories that you go back to and visit again and again. Stories from the Bible, stories from movies, children's storybooks, right? Mother Goose tales or whatever they're called, right? And they never change. They're always staying the same, and they have they have the core principles that make from generation to generation to generation make the stories work, right? With your business, however, should you take that same approach? What do you think? Like, should you set it and forget it? You work on, you get a story and you put it in and you put it to work in your business and you never touch it again? Like, I honestly want to know, like, I just want to know where your guys' mindset is so I can guide this discussion to kind of fit it and show you both sides of it, right? So, let's see. Oh, Nate has a good comment I'm going to throw up here. He says, it seems like the stories are constantly evolving. It seems each layer that we discover and articulate opens a deeper layer to understand, which is absolutely right? You think of the stories that you've told. If you even not in business. What's up, Janine? Thanks for hopping on. Even if it's not for your business, right? The stories that you have told, you haven't told the exact same story every single time, have you? It's been a little bit different every time. It's been a little bit, there are little changes, not like on purpose, like you're trying to deceive people, but, just you tell your stories differently, right? And it's just one of those things that, like, it's just a matter of human nature that we share our stories differently each time, right? We customize it for the audience, for the situation, for the time of day or the season. Like, it's crazy. Like, depending on how, like, if we talk about a trip to California in the summertime, we might talk about how nice and warm it was and how great the ocean was. But if we talk about our trip to California in December, we really play up how awesome, amazing, warm, and comfortable and cozy and everything it was, right? So even the time of year that you share and tell stories can affect how you tell it. Now, when it comes to your business, do businesses change? Is there any business out there that has never changed their message or their approach? Anyone? There has not been one single business who kept the same message the whole entire time, right? There's not, because business and culture and people are always changing, and you need to change the message to fit and match the people, right? So when I talk about this theory of story evolution, it is a necessity from my point of view and me telling you as the expert that if you just tell one story or you go through one workshop and you work on your stories, or you do 1 2-hour call with me or a 90-minute call with me and work on some stories, or if you read the .com Secrets book or the Expert Secrets book and you work on your Epiphany Bridge story one time, if you do that, you are not going to last in business. It is always going to be changing. Now, are you going to be changing the material facts of your story? No. You are still genuine and honest in the story, but the way you tell it, the message that you do, or the parts that you leave out, and other parts that you combine from other stories, that is always, 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 always changing. Okay? Yeah, dying businesses don't change their story. You know, it would be amazing getting a list of story topics to write up. That's a nice little ask there, Val, and I'll see what I can do for you. You know, but so let's just look at me personally, my journey as an entrepreneur. Okay, so I've told the story how I started my business back in 2015 because I was a failed financial advisor. I had been fired from my firm, and I was 35 years old, and like, what am I going to do when I grow up? What do I want to be when I grow up, right? And so I decided I wanted to make videos for people. And so all of my communication then was like how I wanted to make videos and tell cool stories for people's businesses. But I wanted to make videos for businesses to use. I didn't have like super direct, like I didn't have marketing knowledge. I had marketing instincts because I've always been naturally gifted at that. But I hadn't learned, I hadn't studied and put stuff in. I just knew I wanted to tell stories for businesses, for people to put on their website or YouTube or Facebook, right? And so all of my conversations were about that approach. And it got me some clients, and it was great, right? Then I transitioned to still trying to do that, to working in news, right? I was a freelance photojournalist, and I was telling other people's stories, and they were going on the TV, and it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot about how to work fast and all this kind of stuff, right? Then I transitioned to film, and I thought I was going to be a filmmaker. Like I was going to be a director of photography, write scripts, all that kind of stuff for a little while. So the things that I talked about in my story were different because it matched what I was passionate about and what I was going into, right? Then I came into the world that Russell Brunson created and got introduced to ClickFunnels and marketing. And so that got me thinking like about marketing messages for businesses. And I was like, And so I started talking intently about that. You look at my posts from a year and a half ago, where I'm sitting here talking about, you know, all of these ideas of like hire me for $2,500 a month for your business. I'll create 4 videos for you per month. La 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 la. Right? I had these ideas of ways to make money creating videos. But then I had the aha moment where I'm like, I need to focus on the story. The video is the vehicle that delivers the story. But if I work on the stories with people, amazing things will happen, right? And so then my message changed to that. And now I've been going through, I was talking all last year about stories and how they connect people and help people fall in love with you and come back to you over and over again, right? But what have I been focused on the last 6 weeks? That was last year, like after Funnel Hacking Live and when I was building my funnel, I was totally in that whole telling stories to connect mode, right? Is there anything wrong with that? No, my business grew as a result, right? But it kind of hit that wall. And I've been talking over the last 6 weeks about how to use your stories and experiences to sell more of your stuff, your products and services, right? My message has shifted so many times over the last it's almost 4 years now, right? 2015 to 2019. And as a result, I've attracted different types of clients. My business has grown in other ways that I didn't think. When I initially started out thinking I was going to do videos for people, I haven't done videos specifically for clients outside of my local area for a while, right? Most of it's been coaching on story and creating messages for people's brands, right? And now I'm transitioning again a little bit more, right? Like where it's like, I love being able, as I've been talking with people through their stories and I've been sharing my stories. I've found out that my story is like super inspirational to a lot of people, and it's inspired people to make big changes or take risks and jump in and go all out and all these different kind of cliche sayings. That it's been inspiring, that I've been somebody who cares and serves and helps people, as opposed to being an alpha, chop people off at the knees in order to get by, kind of business person, especially as a male, that I'm not like super, masculine, in your face, blah, 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 all that stuff. I have moments where I've gotten in your face a little bit, haven't I? Right? But it's just different. And that's resonated with people. And it's got me thinking, okay, how can I take that to the next level? How can I continue to serve and help people, but they pay me for that coaching and that guidance? And also it changes their, like, by being me, I was able to go from $0 in revenue to over 100,000. I won't say six figures because that could mean 900,000. Over 100,000 in 8 months in my business, right? And I was able to do it without a list. I was able to do it without a big following. I was able to do it without a platform of my own to speak on, right? I did it by sharing my story and serving people, right? And, people are now starting to say, how did you do that? I want to learn how you do that, right? And obviously the storytelling things that I teach and the sales tactics and have got me to get like $10,000 and above clients for video work and for stories. People pay me, four figures, like $2,000 to sit on a call with them for 90 minutes, right? That kind of stuff. And so it's all of that has evolved as a result of me doing and taking action and putting my story out there and seeing what worked and seeing what didn't and all that kind of stuff. And now I'm going through friendlygiantfilms.com and I'm going to give it a facelift, right? I launched that funnel I think it was like August. So it's not even a year old, and it's time for some restructuring because I have changed in that time. The way I handle and talk to clients has changed over that time, right? So the theory of story evolution is really a law of marketing. You always need to be adjusting your message and the things that you put out there to match your audience and to match the things that you're doing and what you're passionate about. Let's think of some big brands here. So like Nike has always had Just Do It, right? That's I think it's been 23 years since the Just Do It campaign, 23 and a half years since the Just Do It slogan was launched for Nike. They did lots of other things in their messaging all throughout all those years when Just Do It was the main thing. Coca-Cola, right? Can't beat the real thing. That kind of thing. They have the polar bears. They have the Santa Claus. They have the stereotypical cold condensation soda in ice on a hot summer day thing. There's the I want to buy a world of Coke movement, right? In the 60s, or I think it was the 70s. But their message has changed. Has the product changed that much? No. They've added Diet Coke and Coke Zero and the new Coke, and all these other flavors, right? But the base is the same. The message is what changed. Now, I started out wanting to do videos, right? My core offer has changed over the last 4 years. It went from video to being a filmmaker and wanting to tell those kinds of stories on the big screen to marketing videos to story and creating brand messages, right? All in the space of 3 years, and now there's another, like I'm adding on to include all of those things into a new core offer that will impact more people and more lives, right? As opposed to just creating an awesome video and helping you do that. Yes, I do that, but that's just that's an ancillary piece of all the other things that I'm going to be helping people do, right? So, Janine says the Army hasn't recovered from dropping Be All You Can Be, right? There are these messages and things that people put out, and sometimes people make change just because, like the Army dropped Be All You Can Be. I don't know what the reasons were, but they haven't recovered in their reach and in their recruiting and enrollment, right? As a result of dropping it. So you have to be, intentional again. Like I always say, every time you tell a story, what do? What do you do? Pop quiz, people. When I say when you're going to tell a story or go live or create a video or do a podcast or a blog post, what is it that I always tell you to do? You're going to grab a drink while you think about it. It is begin with the end in mind, right? You have to be intentional and have a purpose behind what you're doing. If you shift your focus, there needs to be an intention, not just because, oh, I hate this, or I'm lazy and I don't want to do the work over here, I want to do this instead. It's because it's driven by purpose, by power, and there is a reason behind it, right? So that is why we need to be intentional with things. Now, this theory of story evolution, does it work? I see Lance hopped on. What's up, buddy? Shane and Oren, if you're still watching, thanks for joining us. Now, this is the thing. Whether you are like Shane, if you're on, throw me a shout out or something like that to let me know. But Shane Larson, he works at ClickFunnels. He is the man running the One Funnel Away challenge on Facebook. Like, he's facilitating all the stuff. He's just an amazing dude. He has a podcast, which is awesome, called The Game Time Guru. Go listen. Excuse me. If you are a sports person, into sports at all, go listen to it. He knows a ton. He knows his stuff, and those kinds of things. When he started Game Time Guru podcast and that thing, he's been doing it for a while, right? His approach and the way he does things have changed, right? Lance with plumbing, with Aspen Mountain Plumbing, he was doing things a certain way. He got clients, he got customers, and he served, and he gets referrals and all this stuff. Guess what? He's evolved the message and what he's putting out there. He is going out there and doing these Facebook Lives, and he's been implementing the stuff that we've been talking about in this over the last 6 weeks, right? And guess what? It's getting him attention. He's getting comments and compliments from customers and from people who see his lives and be like, that was awesome. That was a good live, right? And he's getting more and more people calling because he's showing a new side of Aspen Mountain that people hadn't seen before. His story has evolved, and how he's telling it has evolved, and it's going to continue to evolve and go to the next step and to the next step. Like Val, she's just starting with her origin story. She started her podcast, right? Her delivery and all those things are going to evolve and get better. We watched my very first ever Facebook Live. Remember how different I was then versus now? I was still comfortable looking down the barrel of a lens. I was still comfortable enough to push play or go live. That didn't scare me at all. But my delivery and the things that I talked about and how I go about doing it has changed and evolved. So if you are not evolving and working through that stuff, you are going to fail in your business. It's going to run stagnant. You're going to just this is the way we've always done things, right? That in some principles can work, but you always have to be evolving and changing and adapting because technology changes, social media changes, the way people consume content changes, and we need to be delivering it to match those changes so that more people can hear our stories and fall in love with us and our businesses and buy our products and services. So if you have spent any time, even in the last 12 months, like I said, my funnel, friendlygiantfilms.com, has not even been fully launched for a whole year, and I'm making some changes. I'm not throwing a match on it and blowing it up. I'm just structuring it a little bit differently to fit the things that I'm doing now. It worked perfectly for what I wanted to do then. friendlygiantfilms.com, if you go there to www.friendlygiantfilms.com, you can see my funnel. You'll see my awesome Friendly Giant Films video at the top. And then we'll talk about my philosophy on storytelling and video and all of these things with entrepreneurship and business. And the whole purpose of it, and the way it's structured right now, is to get somebody to book a free 15-minute call with me, where we'll talk, get to know each other, all that kind of stuff. And then this is all transparency, so you guys can know what I'm doing. I just want you to see how I'm doing it. And you can see how it's evolving, okay? This is all just to help you get your minds around it and see how it applies to your business, okay? So, Wayne, what's up, dude? So, friendlygiantfilms.com is all to get somebody to book a free 15-minute call where I get to know them. I find out where you're struggling with your business and with storytelling and things like that. See where you see me being the biggest help for you. And then ultimately, I am selling you into a 90-minute session where we go through your story. We have it recorded. I build out the framework of the stories that we talked about. And then you have it that you can start to put it to work on your own, or we can go to the next level where I write scripts. You pay me to write scripts for you and give you a prescription on how to shoot it. Or I come out to you for 3 days and I film for 3 days with you, and we get 6 months worth of content, right? Videos and all that kind of stuff shot. Like, that's the whole process of what friendlygiantfilms.com is there to do. But that's evolving, right? I haven't been doing as much video work because more people have needed a lot of help with the story, right? But then also I'm learning that people are inspired by my story and my journey and what I've been able to build on my own over the last couple years, that they're wondering how I did that. How did I get people to book a 15-minute call and then sell them into something that cost them $2,000 for 2 hours or 90 minutes? It used to be 2 hours. I cut it down to 90 minutes because that's the sweet spot that I learned and evolved as I was doing it, right? So that's, your business is always going to need to make adjustments, right? Course adjustments to get you to the goals. If you want to become $1 million a year business, you have to do and behave in certain ways and have things set in place to make that so, right? If you want to become a $10 million a year company, there are things that you have to do, but you can't do those $10 million a year company things when you haven't made $100,000. You can't do those $1 million things when you haven't made $250,000, right? It's an evolution and a process. As you grow, you adjust. Now, I was talking with a couple of my buddies. First of all, let me just, is this making sense? Have I lost anybody? Any questions or confusion there? If I'm making sense, give me those emojis while I grab a drink of water. So, what's up, Jessica? Thanks for hopping on. So, your story, like I'm going to be on a call with Tiffany Ortel tonight. We're going to be going through her story stuff, and it's going to be awesome, and I'm super excited for it. And the thing that's great is that we're going to talk about stuff. She has evolved and grown as a person over the last few months, let alone her entire life and everything that she's done in fitness and everything that she's learned, having a child and then getting back in shape, and all of that stuff is all an evolution. We're going to put some things in place tonight that are going to be very helpful for her and her business right now. In 6 months, with the growth of the business, with all those kinds of things, we might have to make a couple of tweaks to it, right? Just to speak to more people, or to speak in a different way that kind of pushes away some of the people that she doesn't want to work with, or attracts the right people, right? It's all an evolution and about making adjustments. So Nate says it makes total sense. Whew, whew. You guys left me hanging. I didn't get any emojis or anything like that. So thank goodness it makes sense. But so in everything that you do, but especially with your story, if you have not gone through your story for a while, I'm just going to tell you, you need to. You need somebody to facilitate that. It's one thing to work through and write down things in a notepad. I've got this here with some notes. I've got this cool notebook full of all sorts of awesome notes and doodles and things like that. It's one thing to have that, but it's another to have someone facilitate and kind of see it from a different perspective, to guide you through and really see things the way that your clients see it. Because I know I get stuck in my head. I know how I see it. I know how I think others should see it, but that's not how others see it, right? I need to think of the pain and the problems and the things that are going on in their lives so that I can craft that message. And sometimes it's hard when I'm the only one involved in the conversation. So, exactly. Oh yeah, Nate's going to have me fly for the full production. Exactly. Right? So, here is the thing. If you haven't taken a look at your stories ever, if you've just gone through structuring, like some people are just finishing up the One Funnel Away challenge, where they worked on origin story, epiphany bridge, however you want to define it. I like to call them origin stories because that's more generic to everybody. Everybody understands the concept of an origin story. Or if you did it a while ago and it hasn't been in time, or it's been a minute, you need to spend some time working through it. Okay, I actually have some time. This wasn't an intended offer or anything, but I have some times. I had some things that I shuffled, and I have some open times where I have Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays for the next couple weeks. I have them benchmarked specifically to be able to sit down with people one-on-one to do that. Okay, so if you want someone to review your stories with you and make those adjustments in the evolution, I would love to help you, and you should totally go for it. If you're stuck and you're worried about, what story should I tell? Are people really going to care? What do I share that doesn't make me sound like a crazy person? You know, those kinds of things. Let's hop on one of these sessions and get it done, right? If you have worked through some stuff, but you just don't feel comfortable in it, right? Let's sit down and do it. 90 minutes. It's an investment of time, right? You're going to spend 90 minutes to save you tons of time on the back end from having to do it yourself. You'll have somebody there to hold you accountable, but to facilitate the conversation, to get the content and get the information out, and then I put it together for you so you can use it. Isn't that it? You spend 90 minutes of time to save you weeks, months, years of time on the back end, right? But if that doesn't work, if you're not going to invest in the changes, right? Invest in implementing it. If you think your story is so perfect that if somebody comes in who's an expert, by the way, worked with Oscar winners, Emmy winners, has been immersed in story their whole life, has worked with companies from the startup to over $100 million in annual sales and revenue with their stories, you should probably listen to the things that I'm going to tell you to do, right? But if you're not willing to do that and invest the change to make a little tweak to your story, to add a comma or a pause here, you know, that kind of stuff, or to shift to what you're talking about to something a little bit differently that connects more with your audience's hearts, but also to your business so that they buy your stuff easier, then, you know, you need help, right? And so if that's something that you want to do, I'll just put this, like, send me a message and I will get you the link to the order form. The cost is $2,000 for that 90 minutes, right? But again, the breakthroughs in the time that you're going to save on the back end from going through it are going to, one, make that $2,000 back for you, like, instantly, because people are going to be buying your stuff more because your story is structured to get them to buy it, as opposed to just telling a story for the sake of telling a story. And that only happens if you invest that change, right? So those three things, the time, the change, and the money, are going to get you those results on the back end. So if that's something that you want to do, like, I'm happy to do that. I've benchmarked and put on my calendar the next few weeks, Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays, to be able to have those open for people who wanted to do it, right? Not to say that I'm just going to sit on my hands waiting for you to do it. If nobody's going to schedule or do one, I'm doing other things, right? But I have those set apart to be able to do that. But, you know, as you go through your journey with your business and you grow and you change as a person, you join coaching programs, you go to events, you know, all of that kind of stuff, you need to be adjusting the message that you're putting out there to fit it. Just like my whole thing was to get people to hop on a 15-minute call so that I could get to know them, give them some things that they could work on, but then sell them into something where they're going to get even better results, right? But I ended up spending way more time on those 15-minute calls than 15 minutes. And then people, because I did, and I'm a giving person, like, they got a lot of value and sometimes they wouldn't buy. So I spent all that time. I made a great friend, all that kind of stuff, but I didn't progress in my business, right? That was what I was doing before. But because I've gone through a year of doing this, several times, I know what works for my business, I know what doesn't, and now I'm making the necessary adjustments to do it. Does that make sense? So the theory of story evolution is one that you need to adopt and welcome. Don't be like, oh, I just worked on all these stories. Oh, like, I'm not saying you have to throw a match on it and chuck it, right? No, it's like, have somebody come in that can see from a different perspective, can ask you different questions than you would ask yourself, and see if it really resonates or if there's some adjustments to be made. Those little evolutions, like, you know, if you think of whether you believe in like the actual theory of evolution, that like man came from pond scum, that kind of thing. Like, even if you just look at the principles of it, whether you believe it or not, did a man, upright walking man, walk out of the water? No. It was little adjustments. Little things happened over millions of years, right? You didn't just like be like, one day, I'm going to pop out a leg. Okay, that'll help me move around more. No, it wasn't like that at all, right? Small changes over time are what led to man being who he was. If you followed that, subscribe to that belief system, right? It's the same with your stories and your business and your branding. You can make some awesome work by starting out by working with me, right? To have some amazing stories where you can come out like really well developed and things like that. But you're going to see as you implement and do things and grow in your business that you're going to have those little things, little changes over time. And then eventually you might have to do a complete rebrand or a big pivot or things like that. And most of it's going to be little 5-10 degree adjustments. You're not going to do a full 180 or things like that. Rarely. And when you do, it's because like you've been doing the wrong thing for a long time, or you're listening to the wrong people and it's going to steer your ship into the ground, right? So I'm going to put Nate's comment up because this, again, like some people are like, I'm only going to charge $2,000 for you to get me one-on-one for a couple of hours. Like, that's insane, right? So Nate says, 2K seems like nothing when you think about how long it can take to figure it out on your own. Months wasted for so many. Exactly. The investment of time and the change and the financial one at the beginning pay off in the long run when you have somebody to go through that. So that's why I just wanted to offer it. And that I didn't like structure this live. Oh, I've got funky lighting. The sun's coming down and coming through my blinds. Dang it. So I apologize. How can I position myself? Anyway, that wasn't intentional. That just kind of organically came up through the conversation. But I just want you guys to know, whether you partner with me or somebody else or you totally do it yourself, I appreciate that you're doing it. And I'm developing things that will help you do it yourself so that you can build that foundation before you come to me and we can really do some awesome stuff together, or I can do some stuff for you, right? But then on this flip side of that, I can also help you in the growth of your business. I have taken my business from a dead stop, nothing, to over $100,000 in 8 months, right? And it wasn't all easy, but I was able to do it by being me, and I can coach you on how to do that as well. Would that be something that would be cool to some of you guys, to be able to have me as sort of a business coach of sorts, right? It's just one of those things, okay? So with that said, you need to be adjusting your story if you want to thrive. You make course adjustments here and there, and good things happen. So, when you're ready to really be serious, invest that time, the change, and the finances to be able to really take it to the next level. I'm always here. Until then, apply these things that I'm teaching in these lives and the things that you see me publishing and sharing in other places, okay? That will help you and it will get you movement. So whether you pay me or you don't, you're getting stuff that you can put together. You just have to do a little bit more work when you're doing it your own, right? So, with that said, I'm going to go finish eating dinner. I took a pause to hop on the live because it was scheduled. And I'm going to get ready for my call this evening. So, with that said, just remember, it only takes one story to change your world, to change the world of people around you. And if you don't share it, you're not going to grow and progress. And as you share it and grow and progress, you need to make the adjustments to make it super effective. Okay? With that, I love you all, and we'll catch you on the next one.